What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I have a story time that was sent in to me by somebody that works at like a karate school thing, karate dojo, whatever you would call it, you know. The guy doesn't think he's like Bruce Lee or anything. That being said, he enjoys teaching karate to people, and most of them are pretty easy to work with, but he ended up sending in a story time about the most entitled parents he's ever interacted with in his career, which, you know, is right up the alley for something y'all would enjoy, so I figured I would make it into a story time. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so the dude who sent this in to me said, for the most part, the students and their parents are super easy to work with. You know, like 99% of the time, they're very chill. Every now and then, someone can have a Karen attitude, but even if like one of his students has a Karen parent, he tries not to let it impact, you know, the kid too much, because it's not their fault. That being said, these particular people just ended up crossing the line, you know. One day, he comes into work, and he was in charge of teaching the newer students, and he sees that he has a new student named Jake, right? And Jake seems fine enough, you know, it just seems like he's really wanting to learn some karate, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style. And usually with people that were brand new, they got a little bit of one-on-one training with one of the instructors just to kind of get them up to speed, make them feel like they had a little bit more of a base understanding of like base skills, right? So this particular teacher gets pulled aside with Jake and is gonna do like a little bit of one-on-one training with him for his first lesson. And this guy's just working with Jake on the absolute basics, right? I don't know anything about martial arts, but I'm assuming you don't start trying to do like tornado ninja kick. No, you kind of got to start with like, this is how you punch. This is how you kick. I'm assuming you got to like progress through everything, you know? I'm guessing I'm going to compare it to skating. Like, you got to learn how to ollie really well before you learn a bunch of other tricks. I guess you don't have to, but it certainly makes life easier. Regardless, this guy's working with Jake, just going over the most basic karate moves imaginable, and it's like a big open room. And so Jake is watching the more advanced students that are older and clearly been doing this for longer, working on this new thing that they were, which was like a high kick thing. And Jake looks at the teacher that's teaching him and is like, I want to learn that. Which, listen, I don't blame him for wanting to learn that, right? If you're learning like a basic punch and you see somebody doing some sick karate move, you're probably going to want to learn that. That being said, if it's your very first day of karate, you just kind of got to understand that you're not going to be able to be pulling out the spin kick, you know? So the teacher kind of explains to him that like, yeah, it's a really awesome move. I understand why you would want to learn that, and you get there eventually, but you kind of got to learn the basics first. Like, there's no way for me to teach you that until you get good at this stuff. Which, you know, I'm sure is not the funnest thing to hear when you're a little kid at a karate lesson, but at the same time, like, it is just the reality of the situation, right? You can't go from level 1 to level 30 unless you're using cheat codes, and sadly, those don't exist in real life. If they did, I'm pretty sure we'd all be slapping in the buttons. Imagine IRL gets infinite money cheats. Anyways, the teacher is trying to explain to him that, like, he just can't really learn that right now because he hasn't learned any of the other skills that you need before it, You know, I would compare it to Legos, skateboarding, anything. Like, you kind of got to learn the basics first. You can't go kill a tray flip until you learn how to ollie and get that down first. I guess in theory you could, but y'all know what I'm saying. Anyways, Jake doesn't really like that explanation. Instead of being like, you're right, I will learn to get to that level so I can do this move, he just kind of starts arguing back and forth with the teacher, being like, well, I want to learn it. And he's like, okay, well, you know, you're gonna have to get there over time. It's not something you can learn instantly. And Jake just starts replying that like, well, what you're teaching me right now is stupid and I don't want to learn it. Just teach me what I want to learn. This stuff sucks. And the teacher's kind of taken aback because usually people aren't telling him that like, you suck at what you're teaching me right now. I hate this. So he just kind of looks at Jake while he's complaining and is like, well, I don't want to, like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to teach you that, and I can't teach you that until you get this done. So if you really don't like it and you think what we're learning sucks, then you're just never going to get to learning what they're doing over there. And you would think at that point, Jake would maybe realize reality is he's not going to learn it, right? Just keep going with this instructor. But no, he starts throwing a temper tantrum, bro. He's crying, he's screaming about how he hates this and doesn't want to be here anymore. And Jake was a young kid, but he was definitely too old to think that, like, that was a way to get anything you want, you know? He should have been past the point of throwing a tantrum in public because someone wouldn't teach him a karate move. And so the teacher just kind of takes a step back and is watching Jake just throwing this tantrum tantrum because he doesn't want to get involved. He doesn't want to engage him and make him think that, like, you know, he can keep acting that way. So he's just watching this dude throw this tantrum, and it's going on for about 5 minutes. And the teacher is literally watching this, thinking to himself, like, oh my gosh, how is this guy, like, not grown tired of this yet? He's literally been throwing a tantrum for 5 minutes straight when he feels a tap on his shoulder. And when he turns around, he's, like, inches away from this just dude, this, like, grown man who is so red that, like, he looks like the VeggieTales tomato, you know? And he, in his mind, is like, oh, this is probably Jake's dad, and Jake's dad doesn't look too happy. And almost on cue, the guy starts yelling about, like, what did you do to make my son upset? Why is he having a tantrum? And he shoves the teacher after he asks him the question. And you know, this teacher isn't necessarily afraid of like fighting. He teaches a martial art, but he doesn't want anything to happen. So he puts his hands up and takes a step back and is like, whoa, I did nothing to make your son this upset. This is on him. You need to relax. Don't put your hands on me. And the dad's like, don't tell me to relax. You better tell me what happened. And the teacher's like, all right, I'll tell you what happened. And very calmly starts to explain that, like, I was trying to teach your sons the very basic moves because it's his first day. He saw advanced students doing something advanced and demanded I teach it to him. I told him he couldn't learn that until he learned this. He started arguing with me about how I had to teach him that. There's no way for him to learn it until he learns the basics. And he started having a temper tantrum, and that's where we're at. And you would think when they're calmly explaining that, you know, and you've got to be a little bit aware of the fact that your, like, kid throws temper tantrums, I'm guessing. You think someone calmly explaining that would, like, calm the dad down a little bit and be like, oh, I misjudged the situation. Clearly this person is not the person causing my kid to have a temper tantrum. That's more on him. But no, dude, the dad instantly takes Jake's side and starts screaming at this karate instructor. Well, then you need to teach him what he wants to learn. We're paying for these classes. I'm paying your salary. And as long as I'm paying your salary, you're gonna teach my kid what he wants to learn. And, you know, he's heard this before about, like, well, I'm paying you, so you teach me what I want. And so he tries to explain to the dad again that, like, okay, I understand that you're paying for the class, but the stuff he wants to learn is dependent on learning other skills before it. You know, I can't really teach him how to write a paragraph if he doesn't know how to write a word. And the dad's like, well, I don't care. If I say to do it, then you do it. I'm the one paying, so I'm the one in charge of the instruction. Which, like, I just don't really think that's how it works, you know? Sure, I guess most situations, if you're paying, you're kind of in charge. But if you're paying someone to teach you something, you kind of have to understand that they know how to teach it better than you, right? Like, that's why you're paying them. And so the instructor looks at the dad at that point and goes like, well, do you know how to teach this? And the dad, you know, is all angry. No, why do you think I'm paying you to teach it to him? And he goes, exactly. Okay, you don't know how to teach him how to do karate, so don't tell me how to do my job. I don't come to H&R Block and tell you how to do taxes, do I? So, like, cool it. Which, listen, of course, you know, he is kind of coming for the dude, but this guy's been shoving him, insulting him. Like, I think a fair joke about I don't come to H&R Block and tell you how to do taxes isn't that insulting, and it's kind of funny, if anything, especially when you've been shoving him, right? But at that point, as soon as he says, like, I don't come to H&R Block and tell you how to do taxes, he hears a woman's voice behind him yelling like, oh, you want to get smart with us, huh? And he turns around, and sure enough, there's a Karen walking over now, and he starts looking around at the other instructors with like a please help me look, you know, like someone please help me. And the Karen walks over and starts arguing with him, and now it's a 2v1, right? He's outnumbered in this situation. Both of Jake's parents are arguing with him, and they're both equally entitled. The mom starts going off about how, like, you do what we say and you teach what we want him to because we're the ones paying, which, like, that was their point over and over again, as if somehow the fact that they were paying for it meant that, like, they were now in charge of the curriculum of the entire school, you know? Like, I just don't really understand. Truthfully, it's his job. You are paying him because he knows how to teach karate, and you don't know how. You know, like, I wouldn't go to H&R Block and start screaming at an accountant that he doesn't know how to do accounting because I'm there paying him because I don't know how to do it. And if you are an accountant who knows what you're doing, why are you going to H&R Block and yelling at a dude when you could just do it yourself? Like, clearly the reason you've come to this karate dojo is because you need someone to teach this kid karate karate and you don't know how. So how are you then also smarter than the teacher who like does this for a living, and just because you pay him, you automatically know better? Under that logic, bro, who needs a doctor, right? I'm paying the doctor. So under that logic, you know, you're just gonna give me surgery even though I don't need it, right? You go to the doctor, he like diagnoses you with something and you're just like, no, I pay you, you're not gonna do that. And he's like, well, you have it either way. Anyways, at that point, one of the other teachers walks over and he was a little bit older, and both parents are just going off now to the older teacher about how this guy's a moron and he wouldn't teach their son what he wanted to learn, and they just think that that's a horrible way to run the business, da-da-da-da-da. And the older teacher is like pretending to really be on their side. He's listening and he goes, oh, are you guys really unhappy with the quality of the education here? And Karen and the dad are like, yes, we are very unhappy with our experience. I won't believe that we'll be ever coming back here again. And if we do, then you better teach our son what he wants to learn. And he's like, you know what? I have the perfect solution for this. Since you guys are such great customers and clearly know so much about this, you know, come with me. And at that point, Karen and her husband are thinking that, like, you know, this anger, this freak out has won, right? They literally say, like, this is more of what we expected when we raise concerns, as they're walking with the older teacher over to this, like, counter thing that they had. You know, they look at the teacher they were arguing with and tell him, like, this is how you're supposed to treat customers for future reference. And the older teacher kind of leads them over to this little counter that they had and asked them to confirm that they thought the teacher was bad and didn't know what he was doing. And they very loudly again are like, yes, he has no clue what he's doing. He's a moron. We would never want him to teach our kid karate. And he goes, awesome, great, here's your refund. Now you guys can leave. And he gave them their money back for the 1 lessons and was like, yeah, you can leave now. Go away. And they're just kind of standing there. And he goes, if you guys are so unhappy I gave you a refund, I actually don't want either of you back at this dojo. We aren't going to teach your son any karate anymore. So there's your money back. Have fun. Go on your way since we're dumb and don't know anything. And the dad just yells out, excuse me? What is wrong with you? And the older teacher now is like, listen, you just went in, shoved one of our teachers, started screaming at him that he's a moron that doesn't know anything, when all he's trying to do is teach your son safely. So obviously, if that's going to be your attitude, it's just not going to work. So here's your refund and get out. And both of them are just literally stunned. Like, he's mad and wants to argue, but at the same time, he had asked them over and over again if they thought this sucked. And they said yes. So like, yeah, if they give you your refund and you don't leave and you choose to stay and pay them more, that's really on you. So you can tell that they're a little bit confused. And the Karen at that point is like, well, where should we take him to learn what he wants to learn? And the older teacher goes, are you seriously asking me to recommend another place to take your kid to learn karate? And she's like, yeah. And he just looks at her and goes, that's not my problem, but you guys are more than welcome to Google it. And they're like, oh, that's ridiculous. There's no reason to be that rude. And so they got Jake and they go out to the car, you know. And on the walk to the car, they're just silent, right? Like on the way there, just nothing. They don't say anything. They're not even looking at each other. And the older teacher walks over to the guy that had been like having problems, you know, and arguing with the dad, and is like, hey man, don't worry about that. That was crazy. They won't be back. And he's like, yeah, thank you for that. I don't really know what they wanted me to do. And at that point, other parents that had watched the entire thing come down go over to him and they're like, you're a great teacher. Don't worry about it. And as much as he appreciated everyone being nice, you know, it wasn't really messing with his head. Like, he knew for a fact that he just couldn't turn Jake into like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle overnight, and no amount of screaming at him over and over again, I'm paying you, was gonna change that. Like, what do you want him to do about it, bro? You could give me $70,000. I can't turn you into an Olympian in 4 hours, bro. You can just throw money at me forever. It doesn't matter. If anything, he felt more bad for Jake because his parents were just gonna turn him into a monster like that, you know? He was just kind of surprised by the entire ordeal about them demanding that he does his job differently. Like I was saying, just couldn't believe that somebody that would admit that they have no knowledge about what they're talking about would demand that they also know more about how to teach the thing that they know nothing about. Like, you know, I just don't really understand how that works. And also, even because you're paying someone doesn't mean that you, like, de facto can just tell them what to do when they have to. Listen, I'm paying you to be a karate instructor, but I am paying you, so go do the dishes. Like, what? I don't think you necessarily get to control every aspect of a person's personality just because you were for paying them to teach someone karate. And you're especially not entitled to like start insulting them, threatening to fight them and shove them and stuff just because you're paying them either. If you have questions or concerns about what's going on, that's different. If you're just gonna start like, demanding refunds and saying that he sucks at his job for no reason, that's kind of out of pocket. Like I said, there's just no reason to go shove a karate instructor because he couldn't turn your kid into a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in 20 minutes. But hey, it's not his problem anymore. They're banned from the dojo, and something tells me that Jake never went on to learn martial arts after this. So, hey, shout out to the older teacher for being a G and banning them, but I just thought the entire interaction you guys would find entertaining. If you did find it entertaining, be sure to press the like button. I'm gonna count to 3 real quick. Just go click it. Do it. 1, 2, 3. See, you press the like button. Don't you just feel better? Anyways, other than that, if you really want to help me out, you could also comment down below. If you don't know what to comment, just go ahead and comment karate. Let's try to let the video hit recommended. Comments do help. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications. I post videos like this pretty often, so you might as well subscribe. And if you ever want to listen to the stories offline without gameplay, whatever floats your boat, I do post them on Spotify. A link to that can be found down in the description, so feel free to go check that out. No pressure though. And yeah, on that note, guys, that'll do it. I'm gonna go try to learn karate now and get really pissed off when I can't do a 720 no scope kick within 3 seconds of walking in the dojo. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.